All right, so get this. We're going to talk about a tree. I know, stay with me. This isn't just any tree. This is the story of a plant that looked extinction right in the eye and pretty much told it where to go. So yeah, pay attention. You know, there's this basic rule of the universe, right? Survival of the fittest. If something doesn't have a job, if it doesn't fit in the grand scheme of things, poof, it's gone. Nature's a brutal but, a very efficient manager. It makes sense.
And then you have this thing. I mean, look at it. This lumpy, green, brain-looking thing. It's like nature spent billions of years perfecting a system, and then one afternoon just decided to throw a wrench in it. This thing is a growing contradiction.
Okay, so what we're actually looking at here is what you'd call an evolutionary glitch. It's a living ghost. This tree, the Osage Orange, has absolutely no business being here. It is, for all intents and purposes, a fossil from the Ice Age that just forgot to die.
And the scientific reason for this is something called Megafauna Syndrome. See, this tree evolved specifically so that its fruit would be eaten by giant prehistoric animals. I'm talking giant ground sloths, mammoths, the big furry monsters. This fruit was their lunch.
Think about it like this, okay? You've heard of the dodo bird, right? Well, when it went extinct, the dodo tree almost died out too because it relied on the bird to spread its seeds. It's the same deal here. The Osage Orange's business partners, its giant furry delivery service, they all went out of business. The tree should have been next.
So why is it still here? The answer is us, humans. We stumbled across this biological ghost, this leftover, and for our own weird reasons we decided, yeah, you can stay. We became its new purpose.
So you have a plant that lost its entire reason for being. Its whole world disappeared, and it only survived because the weird apes who took over thought it looked useful. That is a total glitch in the system. Now that's absolutely wild.
So what was so great about this glitchy tree? Well, it turns out this useless plant produced wood that was basically a superweapon. The wood from this tree is ridiculously dense, but it's also incredibly flexible. And that combination is like winning the lottery if you want to make bows. And I don't mean just any old bows. We're talking about bows so powerful they could shoot an arrow straight through a guy's armor. This was the top-tier material before we got good at making steel.
Let me put it to you this way. It's a couple hundred years ago, you're out on the frontier. What do you choose? A bag of shiny gold that can't do anything for you, or a weapon that can get you dinner and, stop you from becoming dinner?
Yeah, the value was insane. One good bow made from this wood was worth a horse and a blanket. Think about that. This wasn't just a tool, it was money, it was your life savings. A hunk of wood from a ghost tree was one of the most valuable things a person could own. But believe it or not, the story gets even crazier. Because this tree's greatest accomplishment wasn't being a weapon, it was being a shield for the entire country.
Okay, so jump forward to the 1930s. The American heartland is in the middle of the Dust Bowl, which was a full-on ecological nightmare. Years of bad farming had turned the topsoil to dust, and the wind was literally just blowing the country away.
So, what does the government do? They turned back to our little ghost tree. And they didn't just plant a few of them. As part of a massive project, they planted 220 million Osage Orange trees. The idea was actually pretty brilliant in its simplicity. They were going to build thousands of miles of living walls. They planted these tough, dense, nearly indestructible trees in massive rows to act as windbreaks and physically stop the United States from blowing into the ocean. And you know what? It worked. Farmers were already using these things for fences because they grow into these thorny, tangled messes that nothing can get through. The saying was that it made a fence that was horse-high, bull-strong, and hog-tight. It was basically nature's barbed wire.
So let's be clear. This useless evolutionary leftover saved the American heartland. A relic from the Ice Age was brought in to clean up a 20th century mess.
From a superweapon that defined an era to a continental shield that held a nation together, all from a tree that by all rights shouldn't even be here. Now that's absolutely wild.
So that brings us to today. After all that history, being an ancient weapon, a national hero, why do most of us look at this thing and just see a weird, useless tree?
Well, it's because of this, the fruit. It looks like a lumpy green brain. If you're dumb enough to cut it open, it's filled with this gross, sticky white goo. You can't eat it. It has zero purpose for us.
because it was never meant for us. That fruit is still waiting for a mammoth that's been dead for 13,000 years to wander by and have a snack.
And that's really the cosmic joke of it all, isn't it? We're literally standing next to a living legend, a creature that survived the apocalypse of its time, and most of us just see a lumpy green ball on the ground to kick at.
Because here's the final, brutal irony. This ultimate survivor, this champion of the Ice Age, is now 100% dependent on us to exist. The second we decide we don't need it for fence posts anymore, it's gone. And this time, it'll be for good.
You know, it kind of makes you wonder. This incredible story was hiding in plain sight this whole time. What other ghosts are out there? What other impossible stories are we just walking past every single day just because we don't see an immediate use for them?
A tree that survived the end of its entire world, only to become a weapon, then a shield, and now just a weird curiosity. A ghost that we're keeping on life support, now that's absolutely wild.